Hey everybody, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to do something a little bit different than we've been doing on Instagram. Luckily, we're only about 13, 14 episodes in. I think this is the 14th one, so we haven't set enough of a standard to really throw everybody. But I'm going to be showing you how to paint a gnome from our gnomification system. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey guys.
He's going to be talking to you and me during this video, tracking me with camera, zooming in with the robot cam so you can see every step of this very strange process I'm going to do. Basically, this was just some work that I had to do today, and I was like, maybe it could also be a lesson. Ooh. So I'm going to be coloring this up and then giving this to John, and we're going to put it like on shirts and use it as our character for our notification system. Because there wasn't one on my licensing sites that I liked. That's basically what happened.
I like these kinds of gnomes.
Do you? All right. I have 140-pound block watercolor paper, and I have the core mini set, which has the cadmium yellow primrose, the nickel azul, the pearl orange, the pearl red, medium, the quinacridone magenta dox purple, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, sap green, transparent, brown oxide, burnt sienna, and Payne's gray. I have penciled him in because I wanted those pencil lines actually really for this particular piece. I'm going to watercolor him, and then when he's completely dry, I think I'm going to ink him. So I'm going to take my number 8 round, which is my very favorite. And first, I feel like I'm going to just enjoy myself with his hat because that's a place that I can start kind of putting him in. You'll notice that I'm getting the hat wet, and that's because I'm going to be doing some very soft, blendy stuff in that space. Is what I'm thinking. I'll be working little zones away from each other, and the reason for that is that the paint tone goes where the water is, so I'm going to put the water where I want the paint. And I think I will start with just the lightest amount of that very sort of orangey red in there, and I'm going to let that work out. This is going to be the lightest part of the hat, and I'm going to grab the pearl red and the quinacridone red for maybe the rest of his hat. But I just want to make sure that there's this light spot. That's what I'm thinking. So this is a character I literally just created on the fly with John. How we do that when I'm creating characters or new designs that are just entirely my own there from a reference or a licensed image. How I do that is I create a lookbook, which is that I go out and I find things that I think are amazing that I enjoy the look of. So what we found was, of all the classical gnome design styles, the Scandinavian gnome was the preferred one for us. So we're like, oh, he'll be a Scandinavian style. So this is sort of a take on a Scandinavian style gnome. Right. He is, because he's delivering notifications. The gnomes help us with our ATC club and also our text messaging. And so that's why he's a snail. And they also are the natural predator of trolls.
Man, I just had this
them,
whole
even though they're
panic
vegetarian.
attack.
Huh?
I just had this whole panic attack. I was like, oh my gosh, the signal's not going out.
Normally, if you've just discovered us on IGTV, this very new platform, normally we're live on YouTube, and I think we're the #1 rated acrylic show on YouTube. This may not convey why that's true, but basically, yeah, we are, and we go live all the time.
We like it.
We do. Because we like to chat with you guys. We're chatty. As maybe the chattiness of this lesson has occurred to some of you, where you're like, why is there so much talking? Just teach the art. We haven't been on Instagram, I think, long enough. I'm just coming back with warmer reds, and I'm sort of layering his hat up. Where it's begun to dry a bit, I can glaze. This, I wouldn't say, is as beginner as every other lesson that I've put on IGTV so far. But he will have a traceable. Probably a t-shirt.
So you can gnome along with us.
If he comes out, he'll get a t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, maybe even before the day is over.
Yes. Like, he's been a long-awaited little fellow. Now, the other place I can enjoy this red, right, is also on his shirt. I have to say, I feel like I got to soften this right here into his bleed a little bit. It didn't it wasn't going in far enough, so I've got to take it a little bit further so that the reflection looks right. Sometimes you get so busy trying to get a bloom or a thing that you're like, hey, I need to make that reflection look a little better. Right there. Now I'm going to come put a little water down on his little shirt, because that will also, normally the shirt, I'm deciding in this lookbook would not show. They would be like all hair and little red shoes. But in this particular case, it's showing today.
Nice.
Isn't that nice? I went a little heavier on the quinacridone on that mix because it's under the...
Yeah. No, I kind of like that. Be a bit more purpley of a shirt.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just a little bit because it's underneath.
Well, that's where, gnomes have got some personality of their own. They can pick your shirts out.
No, it's matching the hat. It matches. Just as a little bit in shadow. And then I feel like I'm going to continue the red into the shoes. So let's just take my number 8 and go ahead and get these also pretty wet. And I really enjoy this process. A lot of the watercolors I've been doing here are like these 20-minute little lessons, but he's a little more involved. And now I'm seeing the error of my thinking when I was like, hey, let's make him a lesson.
That's okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Well, now you guys will see maybe the creation of stuff like this that you hadn't seen. And maybe you were ever wondering how things like this are made.
Yeah, I like it. I like how we get to see the little blooming.
And how I work that into the style of the character.
Yeah.
Because that actually becomes part of his lookbook eventually. Because he'll get a lookbook. And then anyone who does anything with him is supposed to pay attention to that. And, copy it. Not like for their own branding or anything. I'm giving no one, don't copy the branding. I'm just saying, within the team, you copy that lookbook and try to see where you're going. I'm just adding a little bit of this sort of brown to his little snail show. Working that little pigment out. I need it to be light because you can get your whites back. You got to get them in now or they're never going to happen. So I put out pigment, moved it around, and now if you'll notice I'm lifting up pigment. And then I think I'm going to take a little of my green from the sap green and come in the crease of the shell.
That looks cool.
Yeah. This is back from my days when I had my little art agent and I did my art for the paper and craft market and licensing.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yep. And I was like, let's just be licensing. Super fun stuff for me. I used to really like it. I'm grabbing some of the yellow and I'm going to bring that in here in a couple places. And I feel now I've given the shell a little bit of character, which I like. I'm also going to be very careful and very carefully add some water up his little eye stems, like we do. I think the color I wish that the set had was maybe some yellow ochre, but I'm gonna get there another way. I'm gonna take some of this over here and I'm gonna get some of my brown and it's gonna be ochre-ish. Ochre-ish. Getting those base little values and colors on Mr. Snaily Pant. So this isn't the only snail. They have big snails we've decided that they ride.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
The snail mail.
Much like Never-Ending Story snails.
That's right. Much like Never-Ending... I have been getting a lot of requests to do Never-Ending Story lately, John. Lots and lots and lots of requests. So he's sort of worked out there and he's looking his little cute self. Now, while he's like this, I can come get my darker brown. I can even get a little bit of my Payne's Gray, which we all know is pretty powerful, and come underneath here and let that shadow up a bit, maybe. Lead up and shadow up. Yeah, I'm going to ink, and that's going to do some nice stuff, but I think it's also good to get some of these soft watercolor effects in while you can. I've just added some water to my brush, and I'm softening that bit out.
Makes interesting shading.
It does, and it's one of the strengths of this medium. Every medium has a strength, and that's watercolors, I feel. Other people might feel it's another strength. I'm going to get some phthalo blue and maybe some brown oxide. Just put those together here in some way. Come here, come here. And then let's make sure we're kind of adding a little texture to the snail shell, right? Little bit of textures kind of coming around. Just so he's got something of interest. And I can always soften that out. Everything in this is always just a play back and forth of layering and glazings. Trying to make these little fellows interesting. And he really comes together during the inking stage. I'm going to get a little of my yellow and my red together. Maybe the orange and this yellow. I'll pull it over here. And let's, I'm going to add some like dots.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go over and start working on his gloves or something.
On his what?
I thought you were going to go work on, that you picked some orange, and I thought you were going someplace else.
Did you?
Yeah.
He'd get his little cuffs with some red for sure. I just want to make sure he's got a little bit of a snaily little texture happening there. Because if he's going to be a shirt, people have to want to wear him.
Oh, no, I dig it. I just was like moving the camera.
And see, then I can come back and soften these little things that I put out, and then they blend in. It's just amazing. It's very powerful stuff. And then if I get a little of my Payne's Gray, I can come and, while it's still wet, add these little soft dots.
Oh, yeah.
Soft. Right under his shell as well. Because that would have a little shadow, wouldn't it? Maybe you would know that. You're like, I don't know. Maybe it would. I came here for the class, so I don't know why you're asking me. I'm making a dark red. A little grayed out. For the space between the snail and the hat.
Ah.
And then I'm going to come back with a little direct Payne's Gray. And just make sure that there's a little bit of a shadow under where the snail is sitting on top of the hat is. That wouldn't just be like, hey, how bright could I be? And back to the center of this. So these build up a little bit slower than some of our quick watercolor sketches.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know that. But they're fun and I enjoy them. And I'm going to go ahead and give his little cuff some thought. Needs a little red cuff. And another little red cuff. And let's just cuff that. Oh, look at that. Little red cuff. Like you have. Now, his pants, I feel strongly. Strong feeling. Should be a green.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
These are not to be mistaken for Christmas.
No.
No.
They are just colorful.
They are colorful. That's their whole attraction right there, is that they're colorful. But colorful in a way that somehow you still don't see them. How is that? Anything this colored is so hidden in the natural world, but yet they are. I'm darkening under where the shirt is. Right? Because the shirt would create a little bit of shadow. Maybe under his bum a little bit. A little around the knee. But leaving enough of that bright green where we feel like, oh, well, that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put these two together. And I'm going to do something sort of interesting here. I felt like he needed a little ground. He's still going to be like somebody that can be clipped out and used.
Mm-hmm.
But by doing this little groundwork here, it gives him enough of an environment to not feel maybe as forced as he could feel if I didn't do that. Right. So initially I'll get some of my little sap green here and I'll pop that up a couple of places. Let that bleed out and create some interest around my little patch of grass here. Now we created this little funny patch of grass out of the blue. It's like, patch of grass. What do you got? Patch of grass. What you doing? I'm walking around on my patch of grass, dude. Right, and I can even come and mix these two together, getting this dark green and come under foot here, like you would. And then there would be a little patch under here. And then between those two, there'd be just the softest little darkening between these two. So I can just join those with a little bit of water and very slightly pigment that bit between those two highly shadowed spaces. And see how that creates a really nice shadow for him to be under. I'm liking that. Now you can see his beautiful little thought out shadow. Some flowers, get some blue in my flowers too. Some flowers, blue in my flowers too. I'm making little clumps by joining the little bits of stuff together. And then, maybe down here. Suddenly it's like, oh, there's a little patch of some stuff that happened. Wait, what? Where'd that come from? I don't know. That's the magic of watercolor, right? You just flow with the water. And I think initially it's what puts people off about the medium the most and then pulls them into it the most. Because once you get pulled into how wonderful it is to play with this, you can't ever get it back. You're just like, oh, I'm enchanted for life. Look at that. Aren't those just the most delightful little flower spaces?
Mm-hmm.
And so I pulled all that and lighten that up. But I can come right back with this dark red and play those hard edges versus those soft edges. Come and play this nice hard green versus the soft green. Even let it blend into the flowers. Come here and a little and another little bit. So we got a little flower. We've got a little guy with his little hands. Now, the skin tone I'm going to do for him, I'm going to take my quinacridone over here and I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take my nickel azel yellow and I'm going to make a very nice soft pinkish skin tone. Yeah, it's just like warmed. You can even grab a little of your brown.
Yeah.
And I'm rinsing the pigment out of my brush, but there's still just enough in there that I can start to give him a little skin tone. And it's a little ruddier. There are many, many skin tones, and you'll find that they have undertones where they're cool. We'll start with the first layer of his nose. First part of the nose. You're laughing.
Oh. It must be the gnomes playing in the background.
I'm sure it is. I'm going to tip my brush, which means I'm going to reshape it in the water and I'm going to come get some quinacridone on it. And on this, I'm going to definitely add this pink, but I'm going to soften it. You can keep seeing what I'm doing when I come back, when the brush is squeezed out. I'm just squeezing out on this paper towel. And I can even come here and be like, maybe a little bit of that pink at the knuckle, a little bit here. But I'm going to soften it. See how I did? So it's there. I pinked the hands, but they're a little bit softened.
I like the nose.
See, the reason that you pink it is you're implying that circulation is happening here because maybe he's more in a hurry. One of the tricks I see artists do is they will rose up all the thin skin on the faces and fingers and stuff. And that gives that impression of really being so alive. All right, now I got these little letters. All right. You do. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little of my gray. It's a muddy little color because I don't want them to be white per se.
Now, the other one, can you make the other envelope blue?
Yes.
A light blue? Because that's...
the aqua?
Yeah, that light, because that's
You
sometimes...
want the aqua that we use?
Sometimes, Yeah.
You'd like an aqua.
That aqua.
If
Because
I can get an
sometimes...
aqua going.
Sometimes you see aqua envelopes.
Huh?
Sometimes we see aqua envelopes.
That is right. There are aqua envelopes. There we go. Man, I'm good.
That's...
So I used the nickel azo and the phthalo blue, and there was that residual sap green here until I got our particular color that we like to send our mail with. Because we send them in the aqua.
When we can.
When we can. I'm not going to paint that whole envelope. I'm going to leave some of it
White.
white.
Cool.
Now, the fun of the beard.
Oh.
So first I'm going to come under here. He's essentially going to have pretty white hair, but to do that, I think I'm going to mix a little of my Payne's gray and blue together. Whoop! Throw brush at myself, rinse out, and then come get just a small amount of pigment. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give the hair a little bit of color to show that it's colorless. I know. But everywhere I feel like it would have a shadow, that's what I'm going to use to form the hair. Show you guys, or anyone who's looking at the piece, that he's got, you know, this sort of little white beard. Now, one of the things that they'll have to do in their design process, I'll have to do, is sometimes put him against maybe a stark background so that he pops. Or I, as an artist, comes back and adds an environment around him.
This reminds me a little bit of Radagast's beard.
Oh, if you think I'm not always influenced by Radagast. Right? Aren't we all a little all influenced by Radagast?
He's my favorite wizard.
A pretty darn good one. I could have gone with browns. I could have gone with something really neutral like a gray. But I really, really, really... And then what's really going to pull us together is when I ink it. See, the inking is a key component of a lot of this. Because that will help me really, really think out my thing. I think this is our longest Instagram episode so far, and I haven't even inked it.
This is really good. And actually, no, we're doing okay. Not too bearable on time.
Okay. I'd like to show everybody the inking process, too.
I think we can.
Because I think that I'm going to just make sure I've got some little hairs there. Because I really want to show him in a flight.
Yeah.
Right? So before I even put a pen, you know, anywhere, I want to make sure that I've kind of captured. I'm going to add some little texture to my little snail on top of. What am I doing? Brown textures. All right, I like that. Oh, I need some up top. It looks good. It looks good. Envelope's good. I could give this envelope a red lid if you wanted, John.
If you'd like.
I don't know. Would you like it on there?
I like it. You get a little
White
contrast.
is nice, but the red will give it a pop.
All right. Well, pop it.
You want me to pop it?
Pop it.
All right. I was like, yes, pop all the
What would
things.
Ruby Rod say? Pop, pop, pop.
He would say that. He would say that.
You know, Floston Paradise would probably be a cool place to go on vacation.
Dude, I just want to go anywhere on vacation. Anywhere. I'll go anywhere. Go to North Carolina and sit and watch the ponies on the beach, swimming in the waves. All right. Actually, I do think that was a good design choice. I like it, and it reflects our mail. So what we're going to do is, through the magic of video, allow this to completely dry, because you don't want to ink anything you have until it's dry, or it'll just go blah.
So, to avoid that, I guess.
We're going to let it dry.
We'll let it dry.
But it'll seem like no time went by for you. Okay, so I have now allowed everything to dry as much as it needs to. And this is a very important part of the process before you ink or remove frisket or do anything on your watercolor paper. When the watercolor paper is wet, it opens up like a sponge. And so not only does your paint need to dry, but your paper needs to bone dry, because that allows the fibers to tighten back down into the paper and allow you to do more involved surface treatments than you could do while it's still lifted. I have several types of pens here, and something I want to say about pens is that one of the things that I do before I ink something is I'm going to test this ink on the paper, and I'm looking to make sure that the ink isn't so wet that it bleeds out. I don't go across a whole bunch of different kinds of pens because I don't know if you can notice this here, but these two inks are different colors. I love my Tombow, right? I love them. I have also over here Pacific Arc. This is a really great pen company if you can find it. They're waterproof, they're non-fading, they're pigment ink. They're amazing. But for this particular one here, you can see that these three are not the same. So you have to do the same brand, same pen line across everything so your inks are matched. And so for this particular thing, I need a lot of different types of nibs. So I'm going to use my Pitt pen set by Faber-Castell. It's maybe not as light fast as the Pacific Arc, but I don't really care for this because I'm going to be using this for a scan. And therefore, it's going to get what I need done the way I need it done. I'm going to put on my vision enhancers and start inking. So one of the things that I'm going to be looking for is my fine tip stuff, right? Because I've got fine work, and I'll come right here to my edges on my envelopes, and I'm going to black line them, right? I'm going to ink them. And I may actually, in an ideal world, I'd put a rag or something under my hand so I'm dragging nothing with me.
Fetch that for you?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to show you a good example. I'm going to get a paper towel or something to rest under my hand. You can use something called a bridge that pulls your hand up off the paper. You can make a bridge using a fist underneath your hand, also helps stabilize it. In this particular case, I'm going to just grab some paper towel because I don't want to be dragging my ink or smearing my pencil. I'm just going over my lines, and I'm being very delicate where delicate lines are warranted. I've got several different types of nibs here, so there's a lot to do. I'm also making some decisions for the look of this work about if I'm going to use any implied texture to show shading or form, you know, because that's something that you can do. And I may enforce or refine some things that we're seeing so that they're more noticeable on the piece. Like I'm going to come up here I'm going to get my little wonderful watercolors out of the way so that I can move around, and I'm going to be inking up here. I've got my fine. I've got an incredible small brush right here. This is just the most amazing. I love brush nibs because they allow me to translate from thick and thin pretty easily. I've focused his little eyes the direction I want them to go. And I'm going to go ahead and use my line work, this just delicate line work, to really convey some of the stuff about Mr. Snaily Pants that I want. This is a very tense time in an artist process because these lines, I'm not easily going to get up. If I'm doing this for
very permanent.
It's very, very permanent. When I'm doing these for a client, I do have a couple tricks where you can fix small mistakes, but really honestly, when you mess up in like advertising or graphic art, it's kind of a do-over deal. Right. Now this is a place I could think about his shell, and if I want to maybe make some extra lines, which in this case I did, to talk about his little segmenting in his little shell. I felt like that would be good. All right, so there we go. I think this is one of the strengths of digital art. I'm going to get back into my other fine nib that has over sometimes traditional medium. If I was doing this digitally, I'm going to go ahead and use these lines to enforce this shadow, making them close together. And little pulled lines. I press hardest at the beginning of the stroke and I lift it as I pull back. If I were doing this digitally, I could so easily just experiment with 75 different types of shells. Right? I could have layers. I wouldn't have to recreate the entire piece again every time I had a thought or an idea about how I want it to be. I'm just going to pull this up. Now let's come under that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add some of those shadow lines right there under the hat. You do. It's going to be really involved at the hair.
Oh, I can only imagine.
You just think about that and you go, oh man, I got so much work to do there. Over there. At the hair. Where I got to do my work. First, I'm going to talk about this division here. In this division here. Because there was a nice little mustache event that was happening. And then I may go ahead and darken some of that right there. I'm going to come, making lots of little fine lines. Talking about his fun little hairs that are coming out. You've got a medium nib pen here, so you can do a slightly heavier line if you want. And I'm just trying to show his little airy-fairy hair flying behind him. I can also do a lot of work with my brush. And that's just something you can see that gives me a heavier, thicker line. So I can play against the line weight to create a lot of interest in my piece. I also in this have a small chisel, which is pretty useful sometimes if I need to do like for the cell phone, that's going to be really helpful. Yes, my gnome has a cell phone. Now let's give a shadow under the hat since we did it for Mr. Snail. I'm paying attention to the direction that I put on these lines because it would be the same. Not that actually it's the same, it's just how we as artists keep a unifying truth across a very creative interpretation of our imagination. And in that way, mimic things in our natural world. I'm just trying to keep informing that his little beard and everything about him is flowing out like water. Come to the hand. I'm super excited about the hand. So weird thing to be excited about. But I did just like very much how his little hands came out.
I really like it too.
You know, keep this here. Then I'm going to come right there. And I'm moving this pretty quickly. A lot of times when you're just working on a rendering yourself, you can go a lot slower than I'm going. You can see again, stronger, but now thoroughly enforced idea that those lines mean what? They mean shadows. While I'm here,
Okay.
I am going to line the inside of the screen.
I like that little screen.
Isn't the screen nice? I'm going to get my chisel. I'm going to use its natural edge to make sure that my phone feels a particular kind of way. And by leaving this space open, it lets me do different little things inside the screen. Like I can digitally add an emoji, a heart,
That'll look
a
really cool.
message, lots of stuff. That's what we want to do. There he is. He's looking pretty good, right?
I think so. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Now, I don't want to have to like stretch down. So I'm going to flip him over.
Ooh.
Because I don't need to ink him upside up. That's not something that's required for me. Which one have I got? This is my fine. So I can for sure.
That just makes it more convenient for you.
Yeah. Just makes that easier for me. Because I can get into all my angles that I want. And then shadow that up. Now that changed the direction of the shoe, but that's okay because that's the shoe going forward. It's a weird deal. You get this sort of sense of the ways that you play with things to navigate your messaging. And you'll find as an artist that you have a messaging that maybe you didn't even know you had. I think it was very surprising to me in my life when I figured out that I too had a messaging. Now, I do want the shadow lines here to be like the same direction as the coat, so I will definitely add just a few of those, but not too many. When this is all done, there's really only one thing left to do. Doesn't really help you anymore these days, but I'm still going to sign it. Because this is one of my babies.
It really is.
What?
I love this one.
Do you love this? I think we should shirt him.
I think so too.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to put him on a t-shirt and stuff like that so people can be like, have you been gnomified? Or you got gnomed. Something like that. You got gnome. Anyways, we're going to make a shirt and we're going to do some stuff and he's going to become the character for that current set of systems. We're going to return back to our regularly scheduled things that I'm painting, probably like a flower or something next. So, stay tuned on the channel. You never know what's going to be here on IGTV. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And if you'd like to know how to be gnomified in the US about live shows on YouTube or Facebook or any of the places that we go live, you can check the description and we'll have that information up there. And I want to see you guys in the studio really soon.